Right there, mate. It is that time of year once more because the Golden Joysticks are back, baby, as an in-person live event on November the 10th, 2023. And they are hosted this year by none other than Troy Baker. Oh yeah, and voting for the Ultimate Game of the Year and other awards are live right now, so if you want to have your say, then head to the link in the description. But ahead of that, why not stick around on this video, because my good friend Nathan and I, who also works here on the FGS YouTube channel, had a sit down and watched all of the nominees for different categories, and we had a lot to say about them. Now, obviously we have no insider knowledge because, well, you're voting for the winners, like right now, so how could we possibly know who wins? Although we will actually be there live at the Golden Joysticks event, so if you see us just picking about or getting up to shenanigans and want to see what we're up to, then subscribe to the FGS YouTube channel, and why not hit that bell as well? Go on, give it a tickle. But for now, let's sit back and see who's actually been nominated for Ultimate Game of the Year. Was that epic enough? A bit more? I can't, it's too early. So those were some of the greatest games that we had here in 2023, and it is incredibly difficult to choose just one of them. But Nathan and I are here right now to give our thoughts on the matter. Hello, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good. I've got a difficult decision ahead of me, though. This is maybe the toughest year to pick a game of the year.
Well, here's the fun thing, is that I'm going to ask you the question, and we're going to answer it at the same time on the count of three. What is the Ultimate Game of the Year? 3, 2, 1... I don't know.
Tears of the Kingdom, maybe, probably.
I genuinely don't know, because there's so many great games even on that list that I feel, unfortunately, are going to be snubbed out by the likes. Like, I think the groundswell is going to say Baldur's Gate 3. I feel it in my heart of hearts. It's everywhere. You can't go 2 foot without somebody saying, oh, Larian are great. And trust me, they are. But the problem is that overshadowing other great games? Are they going to get their chance to shine? Because Tears of the Kingdom, like you said, is phenomenal.
Oh, man. So good. I mean, it's like every game on this list, I think if they'd come out in a different year, could have easily been Game of the Year. You know, I think looking at like Armored Core, Resident Evil 4, Alan Wake looks amazing. You know, yeah. I completely forgot about Jedi Survivor and it didn't even come out that early in the year, but it feels like there's been so much since that you're just kind of forgetting about so much great stuff.
It's interesting as well how like the public consensus changes on the matter here, because you had, when obviously Armored Core came out, everyone said immediately, this is Game of the Year. This is something so fresh and revitalizing from Software that it's going to be their sort of magnum opus. And fans of the series came back into the fold and were like, finally, we have something to celebrate. But then it moved swiftly on to talking about another game being Game of the Year, and then another game, and then another game. I've got people telling me that Super Mario Wonder is Game of the Year hands down, and they will die on that hill. And that blows my mind when you consider the other games in this category. So it's like, how do you choose?
I mean, it's wild. It feels like everyone has really stepped up their game as well. You know, Mario Wonder feels like a reinvention of 2D Mario in a way that kind of, you know, I think it's one of the best Nintendo games we've seen in years. Even something like Resident Evil 4, which, you know, when it was coming out, I was so skeptical. And I was like astounded by how well they did with it, because I feel like it walks that perfect line of being like a respectful remake. It hits all the beats that we love from the original, but then it also has its own identity. It also does new stuff. Like, I don't know how it does this, but it doesn't change how I feel about the original as well. The original still feels very much relevant. You know, I still want to play the original.
I love that when you get a remake that comes out and just says, look, these two stand alongside each other. They are complementary rather than against each other. But you can't even talk about it being potentially the best horror game remake of this year, because we had Dead Space. And Dead Space is utterly phenomenal.
And that was great as well. It's been an unreal year. I mean, like, I'm delighted to see Hi-Fi Rush on here. Again, I think the look and feel of that game, I just think is unlike anything I've ever played. You know, I do think it feels like a kind of PlayStation 2 classic, which I would have adored when I was younger. I know, but also, like, Spider-Man 2 is just... I feel really ungrateful at times, because I think there's some folk with Spider-Man 2 who have been like, oh yeah, it's kind of more of the same, but you play it and I mean, it's so slick.
Yes.
And so action-packed. And alright, it might not be my game of the year, but I mean, it's certainly something I'm going to come back to and play again and again. But yeah, I think if I listen to my head, it's probably going to be Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay,
again,
so there we have it.
I don't think it's the perfect Zelda game. I think there's things, you know, the Breath of the Wild did better, but I mean, I think the invention of it is just unreal, and yeah, I think I've got to give it to Tears.
So there we go. It's either Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom for our picks here. Very difficult indeed, but I tell you what, it's not about to get easier, because we're now moving over to the supporting performance category. So let's take a look at the nominees.
Harry, it's MJ. I'm at an abandoned zoo in Jersey. It's
not enough. We have a gallery of villains to look out for, but now we could be infiltrated by a shape changer. I can't even tell if any of you are acting strange because you've been replaced, or because this group is full of weirdos.
For those that have not lived it, it can be difficult to imagine or accept. Others here have seen conflict, but for more noble causes.
Unnecessarily odd. A small, noisy pest with a bushy tail. You cannot imagine what purpose such a creature could possibly serve. You follow the squirrel's gaze to a pair of clumsy, ugly feet. Your own, on her territory.
No, this isn't a battle you can win with words. Believe me, I've tried. But nothing ever gets through. The world is simply not ready to listen. So to hell with talking. If they won't give us a say, we'll decide our fates another way.
the moment I had the sword, I knew what to do. I knew this was why I came to this era. I want to restore the Master Sword and deliver it to Link.
I say betrayed, but I was sold out. Part of a deal. A peace offering. My head on a silver platter. All for a ceasefire. Peace comes at a price. Someone's always got to pay it.
Well, this is somehow even tougher, Nathan, because unlike before, where we could go on like a gut feeling and how it made us feel over the course of many, many hours, here we've got to distill all of that and basically answer the question as, who is your favourite band? Because this is like, it's so difficult. How do you pick out a singular voice as being the best when all of the supporting performers here on our list gave such a great performance?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, what a year, you know, and I think, again, everyone's really stepped up their game as well. You know, I think Laura Bailey as Mary Jane as well. I think it's interesting because there was some kind of like a little bit of backlash, I think, in the first game about Mary Jane and maybe being a bit too close to Lois Lane and people not really loving the stealth sections. But I think that character has really matured in the sequel, and her gameplay sequences are actually really good fun this time, and I think the performance as well is just kind of taken a step up, so I think she's done a really great job.
Yeah, fantastic. Like Amelia Tyler, I have to give like, I feel like if you're the narrator of, and again, we're going to be talking and gushing about Baldur's Gate 3 once more, but it's a case of to have that character be with you throughout your entire journey, constantly commenting on your actions, be they silly, evil, or other. It's going to build this long-term relationship. And she has such a warm voice. It's rich. It's just one of those things that seeps in. And it's kind of the familiar relationship you get when, like, the video game Bastion, when that came out all those years ago, with the character of the narrator. Totally. It made it feel like such a personal journey. Even though maybe you were making the same decisions as your mates were, it just had that lovely flow and connected all of your actions, made them feel real, made them feel like there was an actual tangible link between what you were doing and somebody going, well, that was a bit weird what you've just done there. So it's like, it's you and a friend playing. It's like co-op and single player. It's weird. Yeah,
that's a great way of putting it, actually, co-op and single player. And yeah, I mean, I think if Amelia took it away, I'd be very, very happy. And I would only hope that it's the squirrel that comes and collects the award.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be so good.
Which is good. But I mean, like Neil as well, though. I mean, Neil could win this award just for that one line delivery in the clip. It's so funny. And I think it makes you realise how much people don't like... I think like comedy in games, especially in voice acting, I think sometimes people maybe shy away from. And so it's great to see it really played up, I think, in Baldur's Gate.
Now, if there's one voice that stands out amongst all of the people on this list, it's Ralph Ineson. Because... as I said to you before when we were watching this, that is a voice that you get by, I don't know, gargling pure whiskey or pure alcohol, ethanol, and smoking 40 a day. I have no idea how you get it to be so low, so immediate, and so like crackly. It's amazing. It's so good.
Gravelly. I mean, it's just an absolute gift of a voice. If it were best voice on the list, I mean, the man would win by a mile.
He could. It's one of those people that could read you the dictionary, and you'd be very enthralled by it just because of how it would sound, not necessarily the content of what it was.
Also, the voice of Gaviscon as well. If you ever, so if you're playing Final Fantasy and you.
Quick, lads, this lady needs our help, and fast. She's suffering from heartburn and needs Gaviscon.
I mean, you can't talk about like iconic voices without talking about Idris Elba as well.
Yeah. I mean, and just to see like someone like him in a game like this with Cyberpunk, they've really kept up that level of actor. With Keanu Reeves now to Idris Elba, and I mean, he looks like he's having a great time as well, which.
It's funny because he's probably the only celebrity that you could have brought on after Keanu Reeves that wouldn't feel like a step down. Because again, it's another left field choice in the sense that you would never see him potentially coming in as a voice, but he fits the character so well, and he fits that sort of like gritty, realistic edge that they try to infuse the cyberpunk world with. Totally. And again, he's got a voice that I could listen to him read for days, so there's a reason why he oozes charisma, and it definitely pulls you in. Here's the question. Nathan. Which one are we picking? I'm going to go with Amelia Tyler, just because, again, the warm, honeyed connection that they have with the narrator.
I think I would have to go for Amelia as well, and I think my second pick would probably be Neil. I think Baldur's Gate is going to absolutely walk this, but again, what a year, and like stepping everything up, and I think to see someone like Idris Elba alongside Amelia Taylor, I think just shows how talented all these folk are.
Indeed, and this is the thing, that's the supporting performers, and now we go into the main event, as it were, for the vocal performance category, because now it is time to talk about the nominees for the lead performance. Oof.
Shua's every waking moment was spent trying to shoulder the burden that you and the Phoenix and the Duchy foisted on him. That's why I became his shield.
No, it wasn't. What is this cage? How much did Sork offer you?
In a horror story, there are only victims and monsters. And the trick is not to end up as either. But trapped by the genre, we're all ripped to pieces along the way.
I got an idea! Oh, crap. Still angry after all these years, Marco? You should try yoga!
Well, at least he always tries to do the right thing.
Right.
Well, that's all that matters, right? He's always looked out for us. He couldn't help what happened.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not weird for me to want to find him, is it?
I need to check the general store for the heart. I knew it would be here. Like I saw it in a dream.
Wake has a double. Where is he now? Did you write these pages, Mr. Wake?
I'm trying to remember. You take the drones, I got the jet skis. Cool if I borrow this? 1, 2, 3. Allie!
Ooh, I thought it was tough before, but it is incredibly tough now. There are a lot of performances there that deserve huge respect, but only one of them can walk away with the award at the end of the day. And Nathan, who do you think it's going to be? Because, I mean, you've got Final Fantasy, Spider-Man gets 2 nominations. Alan Wake also got 2 nominations. Deliver Us Mars as well. Ooh, I don't know how to choose.
I think to be leading all these big franchises is wild to me. I think Cameron does a great job leading Jedi Survivor. Yep. I think leading like a huge franchise like this, and especially the story can get a bit complicated at points, but his charisma I think just drives you through. And also, I mean, but Yuri Lowenthal just is Spider-Man.
I feel like there's very few times in history where a voice actor becomes their character so much that they become indistinguishable, and yet they feel so like all-encompassing. And Yuri Lowenthal is, like you say, Spider-Man to me. It's like when Cameron Conroy Batman?
Oh, Kevin Conroy, yeah.
It's like that. They become that character so much. But
I think
what makes Yuri stand out, I would say, even amongst these other stellar performers, is he's probably the only person that I can think of that does battling and exertion incredibly well. Now, a lot of people, they go like, I've been hit, I'm in so much pain. Can you hear me say that I'm in pain? Whereas the exertion of him swinging while he's delivering the lines when he's talking to supporting characters, it's the out of breath, gasping your last word out there that is the realistic presentation of what it feels like to be put under pressure.
He nails it. And also, I think what is a huge compliment to him as well is doing the symbiote suit in this game. I think has to bring a change to your performance. But also, I think Peter Parker becoming bad, it should sound a little bit lame.
Yeah, in a way, like corny-ish, shouldn't it?
A wee bit, like people always laugh at Tobey Maguire, but it kind of, I think if Peter Parker were to go evil, it would be like quite embarrassing,
I'm just
quite cringe.
Just doing this.
Exactly. And I think he nails it again, and it's already kind of been memed, I think, his like voice when he's in symbiote modes, but I think it walks that very fine line between being sinister and dark, but also kind of being slightly laughable, which is a very tough line to walk, but I think he does really well to do it.
He does indeed, and that's not to take anything away from his from Nagy as well, because as Miles Morales, fantastic, so good.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say. As much as I love Yuri, I feel like the first game was Yuri's. And I feel like this is Nagi's game. I think the growth of Miles Morales and kind of going from becoming Peter's kind of protege to being a full-fledged Spider-Man himself, I just think that performance is great. And again, everyone on this list, so much charisma, so enjoyable. I mean, I think he just is Miles Morales to me.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I feel, again, it comes down to finding a naturalistic form of delivery. I mean, all of the performers here have understood that in order to express that moment of gameplay, you have to pretend so much with every fibre of your being that you are in that moment. And that's what Elise Chappell does in Deliver Us Mars, because I haven't played the game yet, but I've watched a lot of footage of it already. And it's that naturalistic delivery that really comes across as effortless. And if you can make it seem that you're not actually acting at all, then you're going to pull in audience members left, right, and centre, because they're going to see it as believable and genuine. And that's the most important thing about keeping players engaged with your storyline.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've not had a chance to play it yet, but it really makes me want to, and I think it's interesting that performance really pulls you in. And like you said, I think with a lot of video game performances, they can sometimes go bigger. And I think actually what's really interesting is it feels very naturalistic, it feels smaller, it feels like she's pulling you in. And I think it's so interesting how just a performance that does feel a bit more lifelike, a bit more real, makes you want to play it, because you feel like, I've not seen this before, I really want to kind of experience that.
Interestingly, though, on the other side of the coin, you've got vocal performances that need to convey a certain emotion and terror, fear, confusion. That's all basically summing up Alan Wake's plot. And Alan Wake 2 is obviously out right now, so it's going to be pretty bloomin' important for many video game and horror fans. And they've got 2 nominations here. So Ilka and Matthew as Alan Wake, and Melanie in Alan Wake 2 as well. So it's crazy that they've managed to get effectively 3 nominations out of 2 nominations.
I know, they've done well. I was so surprised to hear that Alan Wake is portrayed by 2 performers, because it feels like that voice perfectly fits his face. Like, I don't know how you cast someone's voice for their face as well as that.
But it's crazy, isn't it? Because they're trying to convey like emotions that are very hard to conjure, like fear, terror, and suspense. Again, if you're in when you're playing the video game, it seems so natural, it seems so obvious.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that these voice actors in like a vocal booth in probably some very cushy, like downtown sort of like recording studio, to try and separate that reality and deliver a performance is so difficult. And from the clips I've heard, boy, howdy are they getting people to believe, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And even like, you know, moving on to Melanie and Alan Wake 2 as Saga, like, I think, you know, it's so exciting to see. I love what Remedy do with story, and I think every time they introduce a new character, you know you're going to get something that you've not seen before in games, you know, whether that's Max Payne, Alan Wake, you know, name your character. So it's so exciting, I think, to see the kind of Twin Peaks vibe coming back with a new character, someone who's like in law enforcement, out to solve the mystery. Like, you know, I think she's got a really good chance as well.
But that's the thing. Who's going to win? Who do we think? Gut reaction.
I think for me, if I was going to pick this, I'd have to go for Nadji as Miles. But then, you know, I think Ilka and Matthew with Alan Wake 2 are, you know, I think Alan is going to go through the ringer in that game, and I think we're going to get an amazing performance from the both of them.
And I'm going to actually change my tact, and I'm going to support Cameron for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, because of the fact that you raise an excellent point. Like, you're carrying a huge franchise on your shoulders, and he comes across as likable, lovable, determined, and he can be funny, he can be serious. He has a gamut, like, runs the full spectrum of emotions there, and does it in a way that I very rarely felt like it was, it's Disney cheesy. Like, it didn't hit with that.
There's something about a Star Wars protagonist, I think, when done well, they have to have that right sense of kind of lovability about them. You know, they have to be quite cheeky, but you still like them, like a Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. And I think Cameron absolutely nails that. And I also love that in that clip, he looks like he's cosplaying you. You have exactly the same beard in that clip.
See, I tell you, I'm the easiest character to make in any sort of character creation engine. You go default head 1 for bold, default beard 2. It's easy beats, man. But there we have it. The lead performer, I'm going to go with Cameron. You're going to go with potentially...
I'm going to go with Nadji or Ilka and Matthew. I can't decide.
Perfect. So there you have it. Those are the nominees for the Golden Joysticks Awards 2023. Now, the only thing left to do is for you to go and vote on which ones you want to see win. So yeah, head to the first link in the description and you'll be able to go to the website where you can vote on who you want to win. And if you want to watch the Golden Joysticks Awards show live, then hit that notification bell because we will be streaming it here on the FGS YouTube channel. And like I said, we're going to be there live at the awards show itself. So if you want to see any sort of behind the scenes stuff, little interviews, little snippets and chats with the winners, then subscribe to the YouTube channel, the FGS YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and you'll get all of that extra sumptuous goodness. Oh, I can't, it's too rich. But there we go. He's been Nathan. I've been Jules. Thank you so much for watching. Now get voting, you little demons.